Hello, everyone. Welcome to MindBody TV. I'm Dr. Kim Duramo. Today's broadcast is going to be very thought-provoking and something that can really shift the way you see everything in your reality. We'll be talking today about who really controls the world. The reason I wanted to share on this topic is there's a huge awakening happening, where we're moving from this sort of ordinary consciousness of life is happening to me and I've just got to figure out the rules and navigate it, to the space of I am a creator. I am not just a passive observer, but an active participant in creation, in what's showing up in reality, in what's getting created in the world. And along the way from that point A to B, passive observer to active participant, it can get a little glitchy. And I've seen a lot of people beginning to awaken and get caught up in this glitchiness, and that you don't want to live there. Sure, move through that. Maybe there's some anger as you begin to see things you hadn't seen before. Maybe there's frustration. Maybe you even feel nauseous when you realize some of the stuff that's really going on that you hadn't even imagined. But you don't want to live there. You actually want to move forward into your true power. And so what happens when we're in that first stage, we think like, life is what it is. This is how it organically showed up. Our medical system is what it is because obviously that's the best way to do it. Our education system developed because that's obviously like the best way to do it. And this is the highest for all of humanity. And you have this belief that what's been created was created and developed organically. Then we begin to realize, wait a minute, there's some intention that went behind this that isn't necessarily for our highest and best. So the medical system really was actually manipulated, and there's been some propaganda behind it to create it as a business structure as opposed to a true public health system. The education system was originally created by very, very wealthy businessmen who wanted to have a systemized way of creating minions who would reliably know what to do as a sort of robotic instrument in those business structures. And it's been over 100 years, and we actually haven't really revisited the foundation of that education system. So we start to look at this through a new lens, like, why are we doing it that way? Is this really the highest and best? But what we find is it's not just a matter of changing or morphing the existing system, that there are some really faulty foundations that were put in place, and those systems are ready to be dissolved entirely. So you can look at our financial system, and in the educational system that was put together, there's virtually nothing educating us about the financial system, even though almost everything we do with education and job career ends up being about money. Like, we do this so we make money, but then we don't really learn about money. So it's like, how's that going to work? So beginning to see like, whoa, what we think is a stable financial system is actually anything but stable. And what we think is a government stockpile of wealth called the Federal Reserve is actually not federal, nor does it have a reserve. It's a private organization that is based on lack and completely founded on debt. What? How can we create wealth when we're in a system founded on debt? So we start to look at these things and think, our healthcare system is actually a disease care system. Our education system is actually a mass brainwashing system that decreases our ability to think for ourselves, to think creatively, and to come up with solutions. And so these systems are falling apart. They are not the right foundation for a healthy, vibrant, prosperous world. And so that's a part of what's happening. It's a necessary part. But if we get caught up in the who's manipulating us and why did they do this? Why are they destroying our society? We become angry and we tend to kind of stay there. We become powerless and we tend to stay there. We become really frustrated. And it's not that we're not meant to see some of the things that have been going on. We're just not actually meant to fight it, because the truth about who really controls the world, it's you. It is ourself. The truth is the powers in place are utilizing your power. The only way you can engage in those systems is by giving away your power to outer authority. And guess what? You can take it back. You do not need to feed and fuel those systems and participate in them in the same way anymore. And as soon as you stop participating in them that way, they have no power, because they're actually running on your power. And whether it's your anger and protest, I can't believe, and you fight it, or you willingly comply and participate that way, it's still running off of your power. The system doesn't care whether you're pro or against. It just cares that it's sucking your power. So how do we begin to see what's going on? Yes, awaken, recognize, but not get swamped up in it and give it all of our energy. We've got to remember we are the true power, and we've got to bring our power back to ourselves, back here now. Breathe in your body, feel and sense what you feel, and exhale it, rather than putting our energy outside of us where we're always going to be depleted. And so this illusion of control outside of you, power outside of you, the systems outside of you controlling you, is just that. It's an illusion. You're the real power. And all of the work I've done as a physician, sharing about mind-body medicine, how to assist the body in healing itself, how health and wealth are actually the same thing and they are your birthright. All of the work I've created is exactly to do that. It's to put your power back here, where you are the one in power, where you can grow and learn and make new choices. And we create heaven on earth. We actually will create new systems. It's already happening. There already is the foundation for a conscious healthcare system with providers, individuals who genuinely care and have the capacity to bring modalities that support the body in healing itself, to bring modalities that support true health and healing, instead of only bringing modalities that prevent disease or just treat symptoms. And so there's nothing wrong with those modalities. It's just they're not meant to be the only thing in the true healthcare system. I was an ER doctor. The reason I wanted to train as an ER doctor is because I found that was the most conscious way of using that form of medicine, allopathic medicine, right? Your arm's off, we can get your arm back on. Your heart is stopped, we can try to restart your heart and potentially succeed. And when you're in emergency or surgery, those are a really wise way to use those modalities, medications, pharmaceuticals. It's just they're not meant to be the whole system of that's all we have. There's nothing else that can be done, right? That's a big fat lie. So when we create a conscious system, which is already happening, we're actually inspired to bring modalities that are found not from the outside in, this authority said I could do this, so therefore I will, but more from the inside out. I've found through my investigation that this is what truly works. I've found through my own personal experience or my experience with patients that this is actually what supports health. So let's develop this. Let's use this. Let's share this. It isn't owned by an authority outside of us. It is part of what we have to share. Same thing with conscious education. We're educating my daughter in homeschool system, and we really looked into what does she really need to succeed in the world as an adult, and how can we incorporate that in her childhood, that she learns and grows and knows who she is and knows what she truly values and knows what are her gifts and strengths and knows how to use them in a way that is of contribution to others. Now, you may find those four things are completely absent from the conventional government education system, or maybe a little bit present sometimes, but it's not a system or a structure that for most kids is very nurturing. Maybe for some, awesome. My son is in a conventional kindergarten class and he's doing great. But is it the only thing we should be offering for every single child and like fit that square peg in a round hole? Doesn't seem so. Why don't we look at what really creates success in an adult and integrate that into the development of those formative years? Same thing with the money system. We actually already have amazing systems for exchange, conscious exchange that's transparent, that is based in wealth, not based in debt. Transparent meaning what's happening is on the table instead of like covert. You think this is what's happening, but behind the doors, they're actually doing this, right? That's what's in the current financial system. Do you really understand what the bankers are doing with your money? So a conscious system is transparent. It is based in wealth and it is based in truth, meaning what is the actual exchange of value. In our current society, most people don't really know the true meaning of value. They value someone that's like driving a ritzy car, got a slick suit and a hairdo. If you watch the movie The Big Short, there's a great scene in it where there's a guy sitting at the restaurant and he says, well, clearly society values me more than it values you. And who he's speaking to is a man of great integrity, honesty, and caring, who really cares about people and is trying to investigate what's really going on in the faulty financial structure before the big collapse in 2008. And a person who found what was actually happening, researched it, couldn't believe what he saw with the amount of fraud embedded at the foundational levels of our financial system. And he's talking to this slick guy who's like benefiting from the fraud. And he's like, well, clearly I'm the real value here. And in that scene, it really shows us societally, we don't understand value. We value the thing that looks slick and looks cool, but it's a farce. It isn't what actually keeps us warm at night. It isn't what actually contributes wealth and health in our lives. So we haven't really learned. We've been off track, sidetracked with how we value things. And so in that financial system, like we've really gotten lost to look at what is the true value and begin generating wealth based on things that are of true value. Like if I can show you how to rebalance your nervous system, if I can show a 12-year-old child how to resolve anxiety for the rest of her life, what is the true value, lifetime value of that? Versus you just give them a pill and they get through the day, or maybe they sleep that one night, but tomorrow they need another pill. Maybe there's some value in that, but is it as valuable? We've got to begin to look. So when we're not conscious, we don't know how to value things. We don't understand the systems we're in. We participate as a minion, passively, like nod and smile, versus as an awakened being who is a creator. And so when you start to look at these things, you might get really rip-roaring miffed about what's been happening, but don't stay there. Remember, there's a reason you're awakening. There's a reason you're beginning to see this. And there is no power that lies outside of you. In truth, They can only hijack your power. They can only keep you in fear. Okay, I'll do anything. Just please help me survive. To give away your power, right? Because if you're kept in fear, right? A society that isn't manipulated, I want to say it this way, a society that isn't kept in fear, shame, and inner disconnection cannot be manipulated, cannot be lied to and fooled, right? You can't be fooled when you connect with your power. It just can't happen. And so that's why the media and the propaganda is all about keep you in fear, because we disconnect from our wisdom when we're in fear. And then it will sure seem like the power is outside us. Please take care of us. Just give it back. Be good to us. Why are you being so unfair? Well, what's actually true here? The power is inside me. And so when I release fear, which takes great courage, I'm not saying it will happen in one moment. It might be days, it might be weeks, but you commit, bring the power back here. Welcome your power back here into your body. Tap on your heart, breathe in, breathe out, soften your shoulders. Let your body, your cells remember the truth, because you may have forgotten it for a long time. Find a soft body and a full breath, and your cellular will change. And your nervous system will begin to hear the truth. It's all around you. You are surrounded by the light, by the life, by the breath. And when you soften your body, you let it in, and you begin to see things you didn't see. You begin to realize things you didn't realize. And the peace comes back, and the serenity comes back, and the power comes back. And you might even laugh, oh my gosh, I was totally buying into that delusion. What a ride. But the power's here. And you remember, and when you remember, there is cellular harmony. There is restoration of balance in the hormones. There is a new alignment in your nervous system. And that's when the brain begins to see things we didn't see before. So there's 5 main ways that the system gets hijacked, right? Like, how do you rule a global society? These are the 5 main ways. And I like to think of them in terms of the M's. So you got the media, you've got the medical, you've got the military, the money, and the matriculation, which is the education school system. Okay, matriculation, just to keep it consistent with them. So media, right? Who actually owns the mainstream media systems? They look like they're all completely separate. Like every city has its own local news. They can't all be one thing, but it's actually true that 4 major media conglomerates own every single major mainstream media system of newspaper, of online, of television, every major news station. What? Really? Go investigate it for yourself, because it's one thing to like, I heard blah, 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 blah. But if you find your own truth, just kind of like soften your body. Wait a minute, what? Is that true? You learn a new way of letting in information, right? Versus, I'm disconnected and I don't know, but so-and-so said. It's not the same kind of knowing. So get curious, investigate, evaluate, look, ask questions, right? Begin thinking for yourself. Who actually owns the media, and what are their true interests? Is their deepest interests harmony and personal well-being for each individual human? Question mark. Is that their main interest that they're devoted to? Or is there something else? Because once you begin to question, you can begin to see. The medical, well, I've studied a lot of the history of the current mainstream medical system, and happen to know that at the turn of the century in the 1900s, there were major wealthy conglomerate families who decided, wait a minute, this is a major money-making possibility. This is a possible major business for us. Let's look at funding this particular kind of medicine and purposely defunding, defrauding, shaming all of these other systems. So there were, at that time, many different systems of wellness. In fact, doctors were trained through mentorship in an organic way of what were they interested in? What did they find truly helped their patients? What did they really care about? What were they best at? And I'm not saying that that was perfect, but when that got bought into a system of one way of doing it, one way of learning it, we own the medicine and we will teach you what you can learn and can't learn, what you can practice and can't practice. And they purposely ran smear campaigns against all the other modalities that assisted true healing, all the other modalities that they couldn't own and make money from. Because health doesn't actually make money for that system. And so it's not about right or wrong. It's about what was the foundation of that pharmaceutical-based system. Well, they can patent certain items that they can't patent in nature. So you'll see that, it's not about take your vitamin D and it will support your immune system. That system wouldn't make money from it. It will actually go out of business if people start finding ways to support the natural health. So they smeared and you can look up the history on this, created and put billions of dollars, and guess what? They're still doing it, into active smear campaigns against people, individuals, and modalities that would assist the body in true healing. And so this system got created based on a business structure, right? It's not right or wrong. It's just that's what it was based on. So if you think it was based on, well, this is the best, and I'm not even going to consider, I'm going to do exactly what they tell me to do, right? In a hierarchical or authoritarian structure, are you actually investigating what's true? Right? Are you blindly trusting the authoritarian beings in that structure, or are you curiously working together with them to make the choices for yourself? And so that's, what's happening in the medical system. And now we have more diseased people than we've ever had. We have more diseased people than healthy people. We have billions and billions and billions of dollars and the most expensive medical system in the history of man, and more unhealthy people than we've ever had. So you just got to kind of look at the result and see, is this actually creating what we want? Is that medical system founded on what is actually best for the individual's well-being, health, and prosperity? The military, right? So we're not going to have a big conversation about this, but when you have a monopoly and control of the military, it inhibits free thinking, free speech, free choice, and a true prosperous society. So it might seem like, well, you got to hold a gun to someone's head or they'll do a bad thing. And you want to also look at that what's the truth about our nature? Maybe the reason a lot of things are happening and people going absolutely crazy bananas is because of the amount of suppression that's been in our society, where we're taught we are shameful at our core. Our sexuality is shameful and wrong. Our well-being is dependent on external sources. Our value lies in our achievements instead of our intrinsic. And our success is conditional. Because it's really, really suppressive to an individual human being to live in a society that says your value is outside yourself. So there are a lot of other ways to create prosperity than just holding more guns to people's heads and forcing them to be good. The educational system. So we got media, medical, military, money, we talked about, and matriculation, education. I think many of us have begun to see how suppressive that system can be, that's based on obedience, do as you're told, sit in the seat for this many hours because I said so, versus creativity, fostering unique individual well-being and skill sets. Freedom, right? It's like you're going to do this all day and then you're going to home and do more homework because we've got to keep you in the seat, versus actually nurturing the individual. Like, what is your creative nature? And so looking at ways that learning can be fun, that instead of being institutionalized, education could be more individualized and more creative. And there are obviously also already systems in place. So there are new systems that have emerged right here, right now, that are ready to have a stronger hold in our society. In fact, if you asked 5 years ago, if I had asked anybody I knew about homeschooling or told them that I was thinking about homeschooling my kids, they'd be like, what the heck are you talking about? Now, it's like almost everybody I meet is at least knows about it. Many of them are currently doing it, and almost all of them are like super excited to learn more and hear about it. Like, oh, that's so fantastic. What a wonderful thing. So a major shift in our culture of how we're seeing like institutionalized education versus more personalized organic education. So the point I wanted to make with this broadcast is who really controls the world is ourselves. We're in charge. The power, 100% of it comes from us. In fact, the whole financial, fraudulent, debt-based financial system is running on you. You're the creditor, not the debtor. What does that even mean? And you could go listen to like Aaron Apke. I think he's a great speaker on this topic. Jay Griff is another one. And, you just got to get a little curious, and you start finding very different frequency information that feeds you, that puts the power back where it belongs, in truth, within you. We are the ones who are creating our reality, and we can create it that we're powerless and victim to these horrible people who run the system, or we can wake up and remember the truth. That is my invitation to you. I can be found at drkimd.com, where I am sharing tools, resources, programs, my book, The MindBody Toolkit, how to access the power within you. Bring it home. 10 tools you can use anytime, anywhere, to activate that inner power, to activate that inner wisdom, to heal your body, connect with your wealth, remember who you are. So you can go to drkimd.com/book. I will be here each Wednesday at 11 a.m. We are broadcasting live for MindBody TV, where we will share a different topic related to your personal awakening. When you view these broadcasts, it will ignite possibilities, power, and potential in you that you didn't know you had. We are here 11 a.m. Wednesdays in the MindBody community in Facebook, where our coaches are also standing by to answer questions and assist you in integrating this work. And on my YouTube channel, Dr. Kim Duramo, where you can subscribe, like, share this video, and give it a thumbs up so that we can propagate this work. Share a new message that brings the power back where it belongs. Lots of love to you